It's game over for this delusional, backstabbing clown who thought they could outsmart you. They slinked through the shadows, whispering lies about you, sneaking behind your back, convinced their dirty little secret affair would never see the light of day. But you were always 10 steps ahead. The truth moves faster than gossip at a family cookout, and their deception was no match for your clarity. From the very beginning, they wore a mask, smiling at you, clapping just a beat too late, pretending to celebrate your success while every fiber of their being screamed jealousy. This wasn't support, it was surveillance. They weren't cheering you on, they were studying you, dissecting every win, every glow-up, every effortless way you drew people in. They didn't just want what you had, they wanted to be you. And when they realized they could never replicate your essence, their envy boiled like poison behind a forced grin. Publicly, they praised you, but behind closed doors, they called you lucky. They downplayed your work ethic, questioned your worth, and tried to rewrite your narrative with whispers of shade masked as concern. The sick part? They thought they were clever, thought you didn't notice, but your eyes were sharper than their lies. You saw through the fake support, the performative applause, the side eyes during moments that should have been celebrations. You had peace. You had purpose. You were minding your business, creating, elevating, while they were unraveling in private, trapped in a loop of comparison and quiet rage. Envy is loud. It leaks through tone, through timing, through the awkward silence after you share good news. Their envy screamed from day one. They became a silent fan club fueled by rage, smiling through gritted teeth, secretly bookmarking your wins, rehearsing your phrases, and mimicking your presence like a bad impersonation. They weren't inspired. They were trying to absorb you. They copied your style, your energy, your blueprint, down to the breath. But spiritual DNA isn't transferable. You can't steal anointing. You can't fake alignment. They could wear the outfit, but they'd never walk in your calling. That reality drove them to madness. They started hoping you'd fall, praying something would break you, humble you, silence you. Not because you hurt them, but because your excellence bruised their ego. They didn't want the spotlight. They wanted your spotlight. When they realized they couldn't take it, they tried to dim it. Their obsession rotted into a quiet war, fought through backhanded comments, slick posts, fake alliances, and whispered lies designed to chip away at your reputation. But truth doesn't bend for clowns, and lies don't age well under light. What started as envy turned into identity theft. They lost themselves trying to become a version of you that even you had outgrown. That's why they're crumbling now. The traits they tried to mimic are now reminders of their failure. They weren't chasing influence. They were trying to erase themselves and wear your spirit like a costume. Now, they hate themselves more than they ever hated you, because no matter how hard they tried to twist your image into their own, they couldn't unsee who they really were. A shadow chasing light, a replica with no soul, a mimicry act exposed by the one they tried to become. You never had to compete. They were always their own undoing. They didn't hate you. They hated what you triggered in them. You were the walking, breathing embodiment of everything they pretended didn't exist. Healing, purpose, clarity, alignment. You moved with intention while they fumbled through chaos masked as confidence. Your growth was a spotlight that exposed every corner of their stagnancy. You didn't just walk in truth. You were proof that transformation was possible. That's what made them sick. Every time you rose, it reminded them of what they refused to confront. Your elevation didn't offend them because of arrogance. It offended them because it made their excuses impossible to believe. You represented the version of themselves they abandoned long ago, buried beneath self-sabotage, ego, and fake personas. Instead of facing their reflection, they turned on the mirror, you. They didn't attack you because of who you are. They attacked you because of what you mirrored back to them. That's why their hatred was so irrational, their betrayal so deep. Your light exposed the cracks in their performance. You were real in a world where they relied on masks. You were whole while they were fragments wrapped in pride. You were proof that peace comes from healing, not validation. And that made you dangerous to everything they'd built their identity on. They chose war because they couldn't choose healing. They picked projection over self-awareness. Instead of asking why your wins bothered them, they created stories to villainize you. It's easier to demonize the mirror than to fix what's wrong in the reflection. Deep down, they knew they were at war with themselves long before they aimed that energy at you. This was never a rivalry. It was a revelation of how threatened the broken feel when faced with the healed, of how loud insecurity becomes when you no longer bend to its demands. Behind every fake smile, every "I'm so proud of you," every carefully crafted illusion of loyalty, there was a betrayal rotting in silence. They weren't just envious, they were messy. And the mess was deeper than shade and whispers. It was a secret affair, a scandal, a dirty connection they swore would stay hidden. But spirit doesn't stay silent when lies are used as weapons against the innocent. Now, that betrayal is clawing its way into daylight, loud, raw, and undeniable. While they were pointing fingers at you, painting you as the villain, they were knee-deep in deception, entangled with someone they had no business touching, making deals in the dark, manipulating hearts, loyalty, and energy, all while pretending to be the loyal one. The irony? They projected their own filth onto your name, hoping that if they painted you with enough dirt, no one would see their hands dripping in mud. But karma doesn't lose addresses, and what they tried to bury is rising with receipts, witnesses, and divine clarity. You may not know every detail, but your spirit always knew something was off. The energy never lied. That awkward tension, the sudden distance, the overcompensated affection, it was all a distraction. They wanted you blind, quiet, unsuspecting while they pulled strings behind your back. But the strings snapped. The mask cracked. Now, the narrative is reversing fast. Their little secret isn't a secret anymore. The people they whispered lies to are now whispering about them. Screenshots are circulating, conversations are being recalled, and the one they tried to scapegoat, you, has become the one everyone believes because your energy never shifted. You stayed solid while they spiraled into chaos dressed as confidence. This exposure isn't just about scandal, it's about justice. Spirit allowed their skeletons to rattle because they tried to bury you in the dark. But when you're aligned, protected, and walking in truth, the dirt thrown at you turns into soil for your elevation. Now, they're choking on the dust they kicked up. The same messy circle they laughed with, gossiped with, and plotted with is crumbling in real time. Their entire hater network, built on envy, ego, and performative loyalty, is disintegrating like ash. Alliances formed through bitterness don't last. There's no honor among the insecure. When the truth leaks, rats scatter. The lies they told to turn people against you are now exposing them as the architects of chaos. That little army of side eyes and fake affirmations, disbanded, powerless, done. They thrived on groupthink, dragging your name into every insecure echo chamber they could find. But the more your silence spoke volumes, the more their noise sounded desperate. They kept bringing your name up, and people started noticing. Why are they always talking about you? Why are they so pressed about someone who's not even responding? Just like that, the seeds of doubt sprouted into full exposure. Their influence is bleeding out. Those whispered campaigns, ignored. That side smirk superiority complex, cracked. People don't trust them anymore, not because of what you said, but because of what they revealed about themselves when they thought no one was watching. Now, they're isolated, panicked, exposed. You don't need revenge. You don't need confrontation. This collapse is spiritual. It's divine disconnection. Every lie, every alliance rooted in hate, Every backdoor conversation, they're all turning against them. And you? You're watching in peace. Their plan was to exile you, isolate you, humiliate you. Instead, they exiled themselves. Now, they're choking on the distance they tried to push you into. This is what divine justice looks like. Elegant, effortless, undeniable. They thought they were in control, pulling strings, writing the script, dictating who would rise and who would crumble. But the tables turned long before their lies touched air. Power doesn't scream. Power doesn't chase. True power moves in silence, and yours shifted the moment you stopped explaining yourself and started aligning. That shift wasn't loud. It was divine. Their only real strength was access to you. That was their plug, their illusion of influence. The second you detached, cut the cord, and reclaimed your peace, they started glitching. You were the life force, the energy source. Without you in the room, their relevance dimmed. Their power wasn't internal. It was borrowed. Now that you've walked away, they're scrambling to power something that was never real to begin with. They underestimated your silence, mistook your grace for weakness. But that distance? That was strategy. That was protection. You didn't fall back because you were afraid. You fell back because their spirit couldn't sit at your table anymore. Now, they're starving at the one they built with bitterness, trying to recreate the glow they once fed off from you. The thing about spiritual tables, you don't get a second invitation once your energy's been revealed. They feel it now. The shift. The reversal. The same spotlight they tried to steal has turned on them, and they're exposed in it. No backup, no audience, no applause. Just the cold truth of who they are when you're no longer there to elevate their presence. What haunts them isn't just the loss of control. It's the reality that you're not coming back. No more second chances. No 19. No more silent suffering. No more pretending not to notice. This is your season of no return. They're spiraling now, gripped by a fear they can't mask. Panic has replaced their fake calm. They're not sleeping, not eating. Every vibration of their phone feels like another receipt surfacing. They're checking who viewed their stories, obsessing over who's still on their side, rehearsing damage control speeches no one's buying. The walls are closing in, and they know it. Every lie they told is unraveling thread by thread, publicly. They thought they were playing chess, but they've been chasing ghosts in a game they never understood. Paranoia has set in. They're whispering to people they once manipulated, begging for silence, throwing others under the bus. But nothing's working. That performance mask is slipping. That curated confidence, cracked. This isn't just embarrassment. It's a karmic takedown, and it's only just begun. They feel it. That slow, sick realization that you were never the problem. They were. The spotlight they craved is now exposing everything. The schemes, the betrayal, the obsession. It's all coming undone, not because you clapped back, but because karma never misses when your spirit is protected. They thought silence meant weakness, but your stillness was strategy. Now they're the ones fumbling, desperate, terrified, running from consequences they set in motion. This is what happens when you make an enemy out of someone divinely aligned. The storm isn't coming, it's here, and they're standing dead center in the eye of it. You didn't scream, you didn't rant, you didn't expose them because you never needed to. Your silence did what their noise never could, revealed everything. While they orchestrated chaos, you chose peace. That peace pierced deeper than any insult, because nothing shakes the insecure more than being ignored by the one they tried to destroy. Your silence was your strategy, your protection, your revenge, without the mess. While they spiraled, you aligned. While they crafted lies, you built a legacy. You didn't lower yourself to their level, you let them drown in their own energy. You became the ghost they can't stop thinking about, the one they can't provoke, reach, or replicate. Every attempt to provoke you only highlighted their desperation. Every story they twisted now echoes back to them, hollow. People noticed. They started asking, why are they so obsessed? The answer was clear. Because your glow couldn't be dimmed, even by the darkest lies. You elevated. You healed. You transformed. That transformation was louder than any clapback could ever be. You didn't just survive their chaos. You thrived in the aftermath. That's what burns them. Not your silence, but what your silence produced. Peace, clarity, elevation, power. You weren't the enemy. They were at war with their own reflection. When it didn't shatter you, it shattered them. Now, they sit in the ruins of their own bitterness while you keep rising, untouched. The real flex? You never even broke a sweat. This wasn't just mess. It was a spiritual purge. What you went through wasn't punishment. It was revelation. You couldn't carry these snakes into your breakthrough. The exposure had to happen because elevation requires separation. The universe was tired of letting fakes orbit around someone chosen. This betrayal wasn't a coincidence. It was the divine drawing a line in the sand, showing you who was never meant to go where you're headed. They were never real. They were assigned to drain, distract, and delay you. But instead of breaking you, they activated something greater. Their betrayal forced your clarity. Their lies sharpened your discernment. Their chaos made your peace sacred. You saw the truth, not because they slipped, but because God removed the veil. You were always protected. That exposure wasn't punishment. It was protection. You didn't need closure. You needed clarity. That's what this season gave you. Loud, undeniable clarity. No more pretending they had your back. No more silencing your intuition. No more gaslighting yourself into keeping the peace. Now, the peace is yours, because the parasites have been removed. Your circle is tighter, your spirit is lighter, and your future is brighter. They weren't just a threat to your peace, they were a threat to your purpose. That's why the truth had to come out, so you could stop questioning yourself and start walking fully in your power. This was your spiritual house cleaning. It wasn't personal, it was necessary. The exposure wasn't for revenge, it was for revelation. Now that you see it, you'll never unsee it. And you'll never let that kind of energy near you again. The mess is cleared. The air is pure. Your next level is already waiting.